Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha Bean of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Lou Pizarro.
Welcome to the show.
How are you, Meosha?
I'm good. How are you?
No
you look great.
complaints.
You look great.
I feel good. I feel motivated under the circumstances. Life throws some wild stuff at you, but you gotta figure out what to do with it. And move forward and help others move forward.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
On the show, I always love to go back to from the beginning. And I always say that the beginning kind of shows like where we're like our trajectory in life, like where we're going and where we're heading. So tell me from the beginning, your childhood, what was that like growing up and being Lou?
Well, it's crazy because I have an interesting story, and I'll share a little bit with you. I don't think we have enough time to go through my whole life and all my adventures as a kid, but um, originally my parents are from Puerto Rico. So, and then before that, of course, my family came from Spain.
Nice.
So, I was born in the Bronx in New York. So I was, out there as a kid early on, the times of, Cool Herc, when hip hop was actually being invented, when it was being created, at parties and stuff like that, Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mel.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then, my dad was a Korean War vet, bless him. He had some stuff going on out there, and my mom was young, and my dad was 30. My mom was 15 when they got married.
Wow.
So yeah, and that was kind of like the thing back then, right? My grandparents, the same thing. My grandfather was 30, and my grandmother was 15.
Wow.
Crazy times, huh?
Yeah.
So my mom and dad, they ended up getting a divorce early. And my mom was young, and my grandparents, they moved to California. My mom was all over the place. We ended up moving to California. So kind of, jumped from place to place. I lived in Puerto Rico. I was out there in a Junque, which is the rainforest. I live right on the outskirts of that. As a kid, I would pick coffee beans.
Oh, wow.
So my life there, I didn't go to school. My sister Sonia, and myself, we were there, and that's what we did. We picked coffee beans. Got up early in the morning and ran through the jungle, like Mowgli. I've had some interesting adventures out there, and like some life-threatening adventures. Again, there's another story, but that's what we did. We picked coffee beans, and then the adults would take the coffee beans into town, and they would barter for cash, and they would barter for food and stuff like that, stuff that we couldn't grow or that we
Wow.
didn't have. So it was interesting. So it made me appreciate a lot of things, and most people don't know that about my life. But so I guess growing up in the projects too, I was always, after that, I was always figuring out what can I do, how can I create my own opportunities, because it was rough. And again, my mom was working, and there was my siblings and stuff, so we had to figure out how to eat. I had to figure out how to get clothes to go to school, shoes. I mean, there was just a lot. And early on, I got to tell you, early on, I was um, I had the bug of movies and TV and stuff like that. And I remember it's like finding a box. I lived in a project, and I found a box in the trash, and I went and I plugged it in my room, and I had this little TV, right? And the box was so you can watch this channel back then called On TV. And so when the boxing matches would come up, we couldn't afford to go to boxing matches or pay-per-view and stuff. So I'd have this box, and I had all kinds of wires and stuff like that. And so it was, at that time it was on TV and Z channel. So it would be doing all this, you know, but you can hear it going on, you know, Fraser goes down, just for example, right? And all of a sudden you'd see a quick picture. I'm like, yeah, we're all excited, you know, it's like, oh, and then it would go away and stuff. So it was one of those things where I was always attracted to, you know, adventure and exciting things, photography, you know.
Nice.
I remember, again, just to kind of talk about my childhood, I remember getting my first camera.
Nice.
Okay, now this is in the 70s, all right? So I got my first camera, and this is 1978, and it's called the One Step.
Wow. You still
Okay.
have it. That's amazing.
So now
Wow.
the thing about the camera, the film was expensive.
Mhm, mhm.
So I'm like, how can I, you know, do something to get money to buy this film? So I had to get really creative. So I was taking pictures around the projects, Polaroids, you know, and I
Wow.
was selling them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, you know, I did quite a lot of interesting things. I would clean cars. I would, you know, go to the grocery store for people. I did whatever to get a quarter, 35 cents, you know, 50 cents. And so yeah, I would save up my money as a kid. And I remember it's like at that time, you know, one of the big shows was Chips.
Okay.
Right. So, and you know, everybody wanted to be Eric Estrada, right? Including myself.
Yeah.
So, and at that time, it's like I had $25 saved up, and I went to the swap meet, the local swap meet, and I bought a mini bike.
Oh, wow.
I brought the mini bike home. I literally pushed it miles because it didn't run. I put it in my room. I took it apart, cleaned it, painted it half black, half white, got the CHP stickers that they would give away for the kids.
Wow.
And I put it on the bike. I got it running, and now I was Poncherello. So I would ride up and down the parking lot of the projects, you know, thinking that I was Ponch.
Yeah.
You
You're the
know,
cool
so
kid.
yeah. And funny enough, at the same time, there was this dating thing going on where if you wanted to date, you know, Eric Estrada, you know, you would enter this contest, and my mom entered the contest.
Really?
And I remember reading the letter, and I'm like, my mom said, I remember the first part. The reason why I think that we should go on a date together is because we're both Puerto Rican, we're both from New York, and you know, I was like, it didn't work out, right? My mom didn't win, but
Oh.
so I'll fast forward real quick. So I ended up meeting Eric many years later, while you know, because I was on TV and stuff, and we became friends. You know, I never told him the story. He doesn't know the story.
Oh my
But
God.
I'm at the airport one time, and my he's sitting right there, and my mom calls me, and she says, "Hey, I'm with your friend." And he gets on the phone. And he says, "Bobby, what's up?" You know, we're talking, and I'm like, "Bro," I go, "Oh man, dude." I says, "My mom has always been in love with you, man. Let me just in advance apologize for anything that's gonna happen." You know, but it was a cool story. So I've always had these cool experiences, you know, that I like. But to kind of get back to my childhood, so you know, I had a rough childhood, but I never complained, and I'll tell
Yeah.
you why. Because I had three sisters that went through it,
Mm.
and who would I be if I was complaining, you know,
Mhm.
as a boy, that my three sisters were going through the exact same stuff that I was going through. So I never complained about it. I did my best,
Yeah.
and that was it. But my mom, when she could, she would take us, you know, downtown to watch, you know, 2, 3 Shaolin movies for $4. Would take the
Amazing.
bus. Yeah, and I was hooked, man. I just love martial arts. I love action. So there was a lot of contributions, you know, from my mom and family members. My grandfather, and my grandfather was a big role model in my life. I did some wild stuff because my grandfather was, you know, he was that adventurer himself
Right.
back in the 40s, 30s and 40s, you
Wow.
know.
Wow.
So, you know, and I'll finish up the childhood thing, but you can say I've had kind of like a combination of Forrest Gump meets The Count of Monte Cristo. That's
Wow.
my life.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I'm blessed, man. And I still got much more, you know. It's like my story is not done. It's
Absolutely.
not finished. I don't know where it's going, but it is going.
I love that.
I'm Lou Pizarro, owner of EG Auto Recovery. I've been doing this for 13 years now. Repos are easy. The bank sends us over an order, we repo the car, and we get a check. That simple. I love it. I love the people we go after. They're kind, sweet, and loving people. We get in, we get out, no problem, brother.
My name is Lou Pizarro. I've been a repossessor for over 8 years and I work for my brother. I love what I do, and when people look at me, they think I'm an idiot. Why am I there? The way I look, the way I dress, you know what? I'm not there for a personality contest. I'm there to take down well, good at it.
Hi, my name is Froylan, but all my friends call me Froy. I've been a repossession for about 10 years now. You know, I'm the cutest one in the group. I'm the shortest one. Of course, you'll be able to see that. I'm the locksmith, and I'm the funny one.
My name is Matt Birch, and I'm considered by most to be probably the prettiest repo man in the San Fernando Valley.
Hey, hold him right there. Put your hands on me again, I'll put you on your...
I'm an absolute natural at what I do, and I'm just having fun out there.
Hey guys, Lou from Operacion Repo. Thanks so much for subscribing to our new channel. Don't forget to spread the word, guys, and give us some likes. Keep on subscribing.
I love that. That's, you know, I feel like that is, that's so beautiful that you did not become the circumstances around you. You elevated past that. Like a lot of people, unfortunately, kind of fall victim to their circumstances of what they kind of grow up in, or their, you know, but that is so inspiring to hear. So you got into the business. I'm sure that was tough. Like, how did you figure that out? What was the first thing you're like, okay, like, did you have like a plan of like exactly what you wanted to do in the business wise?
Yes. So now let's say I'm a young man, right? And I want to be a filmmaker. And it's an interesting story. So I started an internship at the local grip union. And so I remember it was I think it was like 30 days that I was doing with them, and I was on Lancashire in North Hollywood, just off like Riverside.
Okay.
You know, so that sidewalk right there. So we're filming there, and man, I am excited. You know, like week 2, I'm there, and I'm just doing whatever they asked me to do. And then I remember this one older gentleman comes up to me and he says, Luis, he says, hey man, you got to slow down. He says, you know, you're out working everybody. This is just not how it's done. He says, well, what are you trying to accomplish? I says, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to learn. I want to get educated. Yeah. And he goes, oh yeah, no, you know, it's not, you're never going to get into the union. And I was like, well, why? And he said, well, you know, 1, says you're not white.
Are you serious?
He says, 2, you're not related to anybody. And I was like, man, you're right. I said, you are right, man. Thanks for letting me know. I'm like, okay. So I finished up my intern, and then I went looking for a different job.
Wow.
So, and I wasn't offended by it. I was like, man, this guy, he has a point. I was a little naive at that age. You know, so, and now it's, I mean, you know, now it's a different ballgame. So this was actually 1986. So when that happened, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, all right. So I didn't think anything of it. Wasn't offended, nothing. You know, so I ended up getting another job. You know, I ended up working for a tow company.
Okay.
It was official police garage. In fact, that's where I learned how to steal cars, but we won't tell anybody. I mean, repossess them.
Right.
So that was my experience, you know, and I'm like, okay, there it is. But as a father, you know, I've always had video cameras. So I filmed everything. I got VHS tapes. I got beta tapes. I got tapes of everything, all my kids' birth, everything, you name it, because we didn't have that luxury as a kid. I have maybe 3 or 4 pictures as a kid. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't exist. So I made sure that I have so many videos and pictures of my kids. It's always going to be there. So I still did that, you know. So I went, I was working. I started a family early. I was in the Marine Corps. I really learned a lot. And then I got into, repossessing, to literally repossessing cars. And I'm like, wow, man, I'm pretty good at this. This is easy, So, and now it's like, I got a license to do this.
Yeah.
I have the police on my side. It's like, I'm like, okay, cool. So it was really, really interesting how it came about. But that was where I really started making a good living as a repossessor back in that time.
Wow. That's awesome. Did you have like any like well, not bad I'm sure you had some bad experiences doing it, but I'm sure that was a really cool experience to do. I mean, how many years was that? Did you do that for?
Oh, geez, I would say at least 20.
Wow.
It was a long time, yeah. So
wow,
maybe longer than that if you combine the illegal aspect of it to the legal aspect of it. So it was interesting because I met a lot of people. I socialized a lot. I dodged a lot of bullets. There's a lot of fights and stuff like that. And but that's because of the repossession. That's actually how I got on TV.
Right.
And
exactly.
I would have never expected that.
Well, that's amazing. That's that's amazing. That is so cool. Did you have so I'm curious, I love hearing about like the really cool things that people do in their career, but has there been any times where like you hit a stepping stone and then you kind of get stuck and you're like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do from here. Like what am I going to do next? Especially in this business. This business is really weird. It's up and down. There's a lot of weird things that happen. How do you overcome?
So one of the things that I realized early on is that you have to have a base. You got to have, something that's solid underneath your belt. And what it was for me, and I figured it out early on, 1990, because I was bouncing around, doing just hustling. I was buying here. I was going to the auction, buying wrecked cars, fixing them. I was working for junkyards, driving. I was tow yards and stuff. And then I got a job in 1990 at Continental Airlines.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and next thing you know, it's like, I'm like, all right, the pay wasn't that good at the time, but I had a solid paycheck. I had, insurance for my kids, and that was my base. So now I'm like, I can do anything I want as long as I take care of my hours, get the paycheck. That's what helped me kind of get to the next level. And that's kind of what I promote to a lot of, people want to be actors, producers, whatever. That's great. You want to be creative, man, do it, but be smart. Have that base, have that, whatever it is. We see a lot of actors and actresses, they work at different restaurants and they do that and they become successful. I have friends that are on running shows. I got one buddy, Charles, he works at Michelli's, one of my favorite places.
Nice.
And so, singers or whatever. So you got to have that base. They're smart enough to understand that. Because if you're going to sit at home waiting for that call for that next role, it's not going to happen. I mean, it eventually will happen, but then you're sleeping, living in your car. I mean, ask Tyler Perry, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
We're not all fortunate to have a story like, Mr. Perry or et cetera. But I love hearing stories like that because I like to know and hear the origin, how it started. And I think you and I had this conversation before, but so you got to have that base and really figure out what it is. Because somebody might say, hey, I'm an actor.
Yeah.
I want to be an actor or an actress. And maybe they're a better producer. Maybe they're a better director. Maybe. And they'll figure it out, but they have to get in there with an open mind.
Right.
Some people have a good ear. Man, this guy, you can be the best sound guy and win some awards or make some money. You don't have to be an actor. So you have to really figure out exactly what your talent is. What is the best thing for you And that's not easy, Meosha. That's not easy, you know.
Yeah.
You know, most people, they want to be singers, right? Maybe
Yeah.
you're going to be the top producer of the year, the music producer, because
Right.
you're not the singer.
Right.
So you got to figure that out.
You got to figure it out. And I think, you know, we live in a society time now where everybody, I think it's it's well, it's always been, people have always been very, you know, everybody seems like they want to be in Hollywood, you know, the Hollywood, the thing or whatever. And I think that's the kind of thing a lot of people, when they get into it, sometimes it can discourage them because they're thinking, oh, it's going to happen overnight, or I'm going to do this movie and it's going to be smooth sailing from here.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
But,
yeah, I think, you know, this is another conversation you and I have had. You don't have to be in LA.
Yeah.
It's good to be here. You know, I get it all the time. Like, yeah, I need to be in LA. No, you don't. I said it's okay to you know, come over here, stay for a while, meet some people, come to the events. But you know what? If you're, you know, only paying $500 in your Oklahoma City, and you can afford $4,000 or $5,000 rent here, why would you come over here?
Yeah.
Stay over there. You know, especially now with social media. You know, in my days we had beepers. and one-step Polaroid cameras, right? So now I'm talking to you like if you're next door.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So they just got to be smarter about it. That's all.
Yeah. Now I'm for me, you know, I've met some really interesting people in my career, and that kind of gave me some great advice, whether it's my mentor or whatnot. But what was it's like anyone or a quote, something that you live by and that sticks with you, or something that someone said in the business that just kind of like sticks with you in whether it's tough times or just a good reminder while we're doing.
Oh, there's so many quotes, but I got to tell you right from the get-go would be Whoopi Goldberg. You know, you have to create your own opportunities.
Yes.
As well as what I say, you know, creative financing, you know, to support those opportunities.
Yes.
You know, so that's, again, it goes back to the days as a kid. You know, I was hustling, selling pictures, cleaning cars, cleaning apartments, grocery shopping. You know, so it's something that you have to do. But I mean, there's a few quotes out there that really stick with me. I'm a big fan of, you know, a lot of guys out there. Steve Harvey, a lot of his quotes. Denzel Washington. You know, even Vincent Price, Pitbull. I'm like, wow, who would have thought, man? That guy's a genius.
Oh yeah.
You know, so for me, it's like a man who limits his interest limits his life, and that's something that short and sweet, but it's the truth, you know.
True. Absolutely true.
True. That's Vincent Price.
Love that.
But yeah, you know, so that's it. And they kind of get back into finishing up your question is how did I get into the industry? Well, as a repo guy, I got a call from Telemundo News Department to do a news segment, The Day in the Life of a Repo Guy. Now we're talking 2004.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, my Spanish is not that great, but I'll give it a shot. So I ended up, you know, doing the segment. I think a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I'm at Mercado del Valle. It's like a Vallarta store. And in Spanish, the people were saying, hey, it's the repo guy from Telemundo. I'm like, what? And they were buying those little Insta cameras, those little cardboard cameras to take pictures with me. And I was like, this is weird, but cool, you know? And so I called up Maria Garcia and I said, hey, what's going on? She goes, oh, the news segment was a hit. It's a great news segment. People want to do some more. The news department. I did 4 other segments.
Wow.
So,
awesome.
And then I ended up doing a pilot at a Sony 4.0 megapixel camera. A couple of my buddies that went to the same church that I did were in film school. I knew nothing about it.
That's
awesome.
As
far as not like that, but we got together. We did this cool sizzle reel. I showed it to Telemundo, and they bought the show within 2 weeks. And you know, me showing it to them. So that's how I got into the business. And of course, that opened a whole bunch of other doors.
Definitely.
You know, good or bad. It's not all glamorous, y'all. It's not all glamorous.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not all glamorous. The business is very wonderful, but also there is that other side of the business that is like, very unfortunate. But I love that what you did, you took a chance and you did it. I feel like that's what you have to do. You have to really you have to really believe in what you're doing, like just no matter what.
Exactly. And you know what? Even more importantly than that is to find someone that's willing to take a chance, a big risk on you.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough that I did. And her name was Fatima Concalwitz. And I'll send you a link and you can share it with the audience. But it is a segment I did with NPR News when I first started. And you'll hear the excitement that I had in my voice. I was like a little kid in a candy store because I was so excited that someone believed in what I wanted to do. They believed in my vision. They believed in, of where I come from and what I had to offer, and that's why they're saying, hey, man, this guy's, one of the pioneers of action reality.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Watching Tales of the Golden Monkey, The A-Team, The Greatest American Hero.
Yeah.
I mean, these were all, things that I was, watching. And so that NPR news segment, I think you should share it with the audience. They'll kind of get a good idea of what I went through and, taking the chance and the network taking the chance on me.
I love
because
that.
they took a huge risk, never been done, and they did it for me.
Oh, I love that.
It was great. So
That's
you go.
Beautiful. I love that. Yes, taking a chance and have someone opening the door. That's what it is. That's what it's all about for sure. What are you working on anything at the moment?
Yeah, I have we're in crazy times. This whole pandemic thing has really, it was bittersweet for me, but unfortunate for a lot of others. And, we had a lot of friends and that, they passed and their family members passed. So it was kind of a weird time, but
sorry,
everything just stopped. Right.
Yeah.
And so now it was, okay, what do you do? Now it was time to, figure out to get ready. So now the pandemic's over. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start all my projects again. But now we have COVID protocol. And as an independent, I did not want to be that guy, that wasn't following the rules and causing people to, to get infected. I was not going to do that. So I didn't do anything. I stood by and I just listened and learned and educated myself on what was going on. So, it was all the stuff that I shot, I started releasing it just last year.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Because I wanted to get past this. So most people don't know, even as independent, and we're not union, we still have to, have that professional decorum and follow, protocol and rules.
Yep.
They exist for a lot of reasons. And even if you do, sometimes because you're not union, I used to get nailed all the time because I wasn't union. I wanted to be union. I wanted to work with those huge budgets.
Yeah.
And I tried, but it was just like, I couldn't do it. Even one of the networks, I said, hey, let's take this show and let's go union. They told me simply, are you crazy?
Wow.
It's like, we'd have to triple the budget. And I tried, trust me, I tried. So at any rate, so here I am. I got a couple other projects and the networks kept on saying, hey, look, we want you to do this, that. I go, I'm not interested in doing that reality show anymore. I had a really bad taste about it. I didn't want to do it. And they just kept on bugging the hell out of me. Do something, we need something with you in front of the camera. And I was honored. I'm like, okay, I'll come up with something.
Nice.
And so I did. I came up with a new show and it's called Operation Passport.
Nice.
And it's an adventure, travel, culture, food type show. So just think of Expedition Unknown meets Anthony Bourdain. He
That's
so
awesome.
I shot season 1. It took us 18 months.
Wow.
Post-production. So I traveled the whole planet. As you can see in the background, there's a lot of cool things from just everywhere.
Nice.
And over here as well. And then I got, we just started season 2. We just got back from Japan.
All right.
That's episode 1. And then we head out to Vietnam next month. And then we go to Taiwan and it starts from there. So we're hoping to get a release date late this year or early next year.
All right.
But it's been exciting. So, and that being said, I am gonna get back into more reality stuff because they're asking for it, and it's gonna help me simply finance my films.
Right. 100%.
And that's what I want to do is create, direct, produce films.
Love that.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's like, you know, in this business, unfortunately, there's a lot of weird people that you deal with. So in reality, you might be stuck with a bunch of knuckleheads for a long time. I don't want that. I want to do a film. You know, you're with me for 30, 45 days. If you're cool and you're great, you come on to the next,
right.
You know, and that's the way it should be. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. You want to be a knucklehead. It's okay. You know, but so it's interesting times, but again, it's one of those things. That's the project that I'm working on. I'm still working on the superhero film that I started before COVID, you know, so, but that has Meosha, everything has the right time to be released or done. And I believe that now for the superhero film that I'm doing, it's the right time. And simply because this whole AI stuff that's going on has really helped me, and technology has really in the past 2 years. I mean, during COVID, what were people doing? They were trying to figure out stuff, and it's just all of a sudden it's all released. I'm like, wow, I couldn't do this 4 years ago when I started this film.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but now I'm like, wow. And I've done films in 6 months, release, boom, out there. You know, but this film has taken a lot. Psychic Visions movie that we released, I think we released it early this year.
Okay. Nice.
That was in production for 7 years.
Wowzers.
Yeah, and that's only because we didn't have the technology. The hard drive that the guys that were doing the post-production in Mexico, there was an earthquake. I told the story before. The drive was stuck in the building for 6 to 8 months. We finally got to drive back, and then it got stolen from my partner, and we lost the movies, both of them.
Oh my goodness.
So, luckily, I had a 4K, had 3 segments of the movie, 3 cuts, half hours each from beginning to end in 4K, but no files. That's it.
Yikes.
So we were stuck. We couldn't do anything with it. Finally, the technology came out where we were able to really do some amazing stuff to pull the sound and the music and dialogue, and you know, we got it done. So it's out there. Psychic Visions, y'all. You can watch it on Tubi TV for free.
Right.
It's on every platform, you know, that's ad generated. So, and again, I was relieved just to finally get that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
I
would be too. It's like, oh my God.
And you know, one of the things too is like, I get a chance to work on a lot of films. People are like, hey, can you do a cameo? Can you do this? I'm like, yeah, I support.
Yeah.
Like you asked me, you know, to be in your anthology, one of your.
Thank you so much. That was so fun.
I gotta say, I was really impressed with how you put that together
Oh,
and how you streamlined that. I was like, I go, she's a really good director and producer. It was like, it was smooth, and we did that so fast. Yeah, Meosha. So like I was saying, you're a phenomenal director, producer, creator, and some of the stuff. I want people to see your anthology. I was spreading the word. I mean, I was impressed on what you're doing. And
thank you. Speaking of the anthology, it's so funny. When I posted that trailer, because I remember we did it a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, and then I had a team from like Italy reach out to me, and it's they're a media company, and they're like, we have over almost like 1 million subscribers. We love to put the movie on our channel. I was like, yes. So it's on their channel now. And people are loving it. It's almost hit like 2K views. And then another women in like, it's called Women Reels Network. It's a women, basically a company that's just women who create movies and directors and like a women-based thing, but it's a subscription base. And they were like, we would love to put the film on our channel. I was like, yeah. So, great. That's been literally that trailer I posted, and everyone's like, yeah, I want to see it. So thank you so much for it being what it is.
And yeah, and you know, it's like it's funny because when you were directing me in that scene and you had me running, you had me running. I was like, okay, here we go. I'm gonna give it my all.
It was so good.
Yeah, that was interesting. But that whole thing was spooky and creepy. I'm like, oh man, can you imagine if this really happens?
Right.
Wow. But yeah, I recommend it. Everybody, you got to check it out. It's phenomenal. I'm sure you'll put up the link. It's there. I think I've seen it already. The link. So Meosha, what are your top 5 favorite movies?
Ooh, that is hard. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I really love psychological thrillers. I love Suspiria. It's actually a French horror. Are you serious? Do you love it?
I know Suspiria. That was the scariest movie I've ever seen. Are you kidding me? The college witchcraft. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. I couldn't sleep for years.
Are you serious? Oh my God.
So oh my God, Suspiria is phenomenal. So I got to tell you the part that freaked me out. Okay, so I'm sitting there with my sister Sonia, rest in peace, and we went to I think it was Panorama City to watch it.
Nice.
And I'm sitting there with my sister, and I was scared. She loved horror films, and I was terrified. And I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, this hand comes through the window. Well, actually, you see these eyes in the window, right? And then you see this hand come right through the glass and rips out their heart. I almost died. I couldn't look out a window at night for a long time.
That's awesome.
Tell me more about Suspiria.
I loved it. I love just the concept, I was like, that is so brilliant, and how it was shot. I think what I really love is the cinematography of movies. I'm a really big fan of Roger Deakins, who did, he's did No Country for Old Men, just even that movie and how it was shot and with the wide angles it was just beautiful. And I think that's what Get Out, it was really good. I love the cinematography in that. I really like, I would say, I'm gonna go really old school. Definitely gonna have to say Alfred Hitchcock, of course. He has some really, really good movies, even his short films. And that's what started me out doing short films, because I remember one summer I rented the Alfred Hitchcock Presents series, and I just kind of binge watched them, and I was like, oh my God, he's making short films and they're all so good and they're interesting and different. And that's what made me wanted to do the short film route and make short films, like little short stories, but make them creepy and a really cool concept. And then that's how my YouTube channel started to grow from that. But yeah, Alfred Hitchcock's definitely the GOAT, if you will, of cinema. For sure. Awesome. What about you?
I love the fact that you said Suspiria. I got so excited like a little kid. I was like, wow, I would have never guessed.
I know. I'm surprised.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. Jeez. So I got to tell you, so my top movies right now is The Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh yeah, it's a good one.
I like both versions. The new one I like. It's awesome, but the story itself, it's just great. Even the original with Richard Chamberlain back in the days. There's a few other movies. The Bicycle Thief is one that's really resonating with me.
Wow. Okay, I didn't think you did. That's awesome. It's a good one.
I've had my kids watch it. It's just something that really resonates. I'm like, sometimes I think that I was really born in the wrong era.
Me too.
So, so that's another one. And, I like action. Full Metal Jacket. That's one. The Godfather, Breaker Morant. That's another movie. So it's like, I have, my top 5. And
nice.
And I'll tell you who put me on the spot. And this is why I was asking you. I was at the Malibu Cigar Lounge having a meeting with a friend of mine, El Mariachi himself.
Wow.
And this gentleman comes up and totally takes over our meeting. He puts a suitcase on the table, and Carlos, we just look at each other and we're like, hey, cool. He pulls out his cigar. He moves my stuff from the chair and puts it, on a different chair. And I'm like, hey, Mr. Busey, join us.
Wow.
I think I'll do that. So he said, what are you guys doing up here? He's telling me, we're having a meeting about a movie that, Killer Kilo. I had all this stuff, and I had this mound on the table of props. I'm going to
Nice.
say what it was. And he's like, is that real? I go, no, it's synthetic. It's not real. And Carlos is just kind of laughing about it. And, so our meeting was blown out the water. We wanted to hear what Gary had to say.
Yeah.
It's like, he says, Lou, he says, what's your budget on the movie? I told him. He goes, okay, that's a decent budget. He says, so tell me quickly, what are your top 5 movies? This is Gary Busey, right? And I'm like, I had to spit him out right away. And he goes, I see you know movies. I go, I'm testing you. He says, I want to make sure that, I'm talking to somebody that knows about film. And, so he had some other questions, and which is cool. And of course, Carlos, Gallardo, he's the pro. He's the man. He knows about everything. So
yeah,
it was interesting. So that's where that question that I asked you, your top
that's
movies.
amazing.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that was cool. I just got to share that with you. But
I love that.
Just keep it up. You're phenomenal, and again, you're. Yeah, I definitely want to work with you more. So.
Me too. I really want to get you on something very, like very interesting and different. Like there's a potential project, and well, it's something that I was reached out to some years ago, maybe like 5 years ago, and it was a film that was directed by all women of color and women writers. But I mean, obviously we can have men as well acting in it, but just from our and I was one of the directors on board alongside. She was like, I think this will be something cool. It's horror and it's women and it's different, so why not? And I just never got finished, unfortunately.
So
I would love to get you on that one.
You're talking about Chong. So you're talking about Ray Don Chong?
Ray Don, yes, Ray Don Chong, yeah.
One of my movies that I love, my action films. She's a great character, and I got to tell you, I did get to meet her through a mutual friend of ours, Donna D'Erico.
Wow.
And I met her mother as well, so that was cool. I'm glad she's doing that stuff.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, let me know whatever I can do. Whatever capacity. I got this other gig that I'm going to be acting in. It's a series, and I play this heavy, which is great because sometimes I just want to express my anger, my frustration, and just
get it out.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So
I'm excited. Do you enjoy acting?
I do. I do. It's fun. It's again, because it allows me to express myself without being judged.
Yeah.
So it's like I've done some stuff. I played like a pastor that dies. I played an angel in a movie. I played an attorney. Many attorneys. I played cops, detectives. I played it all, and I was like, all right, cool. And I just look back to like, okay, like the Rockford Files, like Perry Mason. Depending, I'm like, hey, I know this guy.
Right.
I know this character. I've been watching him all my life.
Right.
So that's kind of my mentality, and I have fun, and so there you go.
I love that. Having fun. Where can people find you on social media to follow all the things that you're doing, all the great things?
So everything is at Lou Pizarro. So all my social media is at Lou Pizarro. Also, too, I just want to let everybody know that we have our very own YouTube channel exclusively for Operacion Repo. We'll share that link with you, and that's through Super Bam. We're excited about that. And yeah, I have a few things. The Passport Show, that's big for us right now, and you guys will see. I'll share a little clip with you. You can post it on there.
I love that.
See some of the interesting adventures I've had. From almost dying 3 times, going to prison once, it's all the food, but that's a whole nother show.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
I want to live your life. I love that you live life to the fullest. Like that's what my whole mantra of living is about, is like living your life to the fullest, because you get one go around. So,
I think you had to ask me a question too on our bullet points. It's like, what have been my setbacks?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to share that with you. The setbacks are what you make of them.
Ooh,
And
that's good.
normally setbacks come in the form of another person,
Mm.
for whatever the reason may be. But you have to really make the best of them. And I got to say, it was a friend of mine named Charles. And I haven't talked to Charles for many, many years till recently, because my sister passed, and my sister and him were really, really good friends. And I remember Charles, he got into a car accident, and he got fired from his job and this and that. And he had this smile on his face, and he was excited. And I go, Charles, what's going on? Why are you so happy about this? And he says, you know what, bro? He says, I'm just excited. I can't wait to see what blessing is going to come out of that car accident. What blessing is going to come out of me losing my job? What
awesome.
blessing? I was like, man, boy, this guy has a point.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that he told me that. And that was something that I've always carried with me. It's like, so again, you're going to have setbacks. It's what you make of that setbacks. It's how you choose to address that setback, whether it comes in the form of a car accident, or whatever the case may be. So, and listen, I'm still learning. I'm a student. I learn every day. I've done some dumb moves. I have, but I've learned. And because I've learned, I'm able to educate others that are going through it.
Yeah.
So, and I could just do my best. That's it.
I love that. Thank you so much for that. That really hit me and resonates with me very heavily. That's beautiful. That was, yeah.
Now we're going to go, you and I continue to conquer the world and have fun.
That's
and
right.
educate and leave a beautiful legacy.
That's right. Absolutely.
For others to always to educate and learn and so that's part of what I like to do, and I like to be educated, and so
thank you. And thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for everything that you are, everything that you do. And just like, not just professionally, but just as just a human. Thank you for everything that you do and how much you share of yourself to the world. So I appreciate that. I'm sure the people who are listening are going to love hearing that and appreciate it as well. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, you got it. Thank you. I'm supporting you all the time. Whatever you need, just let me know.
For sure.
Whatever you need from me, I am here.
I love it. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.